What is going on, everybody? It's a new year. Hope you're feeling good, feeling well, feeling excited about what's to come. Probably getting over pressured by this sense that we get around us to be more productive. And I wanted to speak on that and speak about productivity quickly in a way that has helped me, that might help you, in a way that takes a bit of the pressure off the need that we all find ourselves being pressed to be more productive, get more stuff done. So what is productivity? I mean, what is it? If we go back to the roots of what we're looking at here, people tell us to be more productive. People say that they're working on being more productive this year. First thing to acknowledge is that productivity is just a label, isn't it? It's just a word, like so many other words. It's a word that is considered in very different ways depending on what brain it is housed in. Everyone has a different idea and a different opinion, a different subjective view on what productivity means to them, right? I'm sure that your view of productivity is very different to the next guy who sees needing to have even more done than you think is good for productivity to consider it productive. So we've all got very different subjective opinions on what this word means, what it reflects, what does life need to look like for you in order for you to allow yourself to call yourself productive, right? So that's off the bat really important, is, you know, we create this word and we incorporate productivity into our lives, but it's just a word, it's just a concept, and we've all got very different views on what it means for each of us. So that's key, because it means that productivity starts and ends in the mind. It's a mind created, constructed concept, all of which, you know, everybody has different views on what it means, so it's not even a thing. And if we rewind 5,000 years, we see that we were doing what we felt was necessary in the moment to do, because survival was far more pressing for most. Survival wasn't as highly leveraged as it is for many of us right now. And what I mean by that is that we had to fend off wolves. We had to, you know, we got concerned about the next blizzard that would flow through, because we were much more vulnerable back then in many ways. And so we tended to respond in the moment to the pressures around us when we lived in more primitive times, in tribes and that kind of thing. So for us, just surviving, just getting from day to day was on our minds. It was a priority. Whereas right now, you know, if we get ourselves a place to live, if we're lucky enough, we've got most of that sorted. We don't have to think so much about the very pressing in the moment details. So we create this this need to be productive. It's an invention that has come about as a result of realizing that we've got most of our survival stuff sorted, and now we have the opportunity to make more money, to make more of an impact, to spread our influence. And in seeing that, we've realized, hang on a sec, look, we can really scale up here. You know, sky's the limit for when it comes to making more money and making more of our time and leveraging our time, right? Getting more juice out of our lives. That was never really a pressing concern when we were running about in, you know, loincloths, right? We weren't thinking about how can we leverage our time better? How can we scale up? And therefore, there was no need to be productive. And that's actually, if you look back even 100 years, it wasn't even that pressing a need for most. So we've kind of created this invention, which is a concept that ironically is stressing many of us out in our need, our kind of self-pressured sense of need about wanting to be more productive, because we've got this thing now, we've got this opportunity to scale up, to produce more, to make more money with relatively no end in sight to what's possible. And therefore our pressure, our self-pressure, is also limitless. We're never going to stop pressurizing ourselves for what we could have, how we could be more productive and getting what we could have, because it's endless. As soon as we get 100k coming through the year, we want the 250k. As soon as we've got that coming through, we want the 500,000, the 500k. So that's something really key to look at as well. The fact that, first of all, it's a conceptual thing that we hold in our minds about how we think life could and should be, which in turn doesn't always, but for most people, stresses us out because there's no end in sight to how productive we could be. So there's always going to be that should that we need to reach that we're not getting in the moment. So that's where stress arises. Stress, and I think I heard Mr. Eckhart Tolle say this once, is that stress is the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. And if we've got a sense that we need to be more productive, we're going to be more stressed, right? So that's another really key thing, is understanding that we stress ourselves out by focusing on productivity. And ironically, what happens? We become uptight, stressed, we become miserable, we feel we should be doing more, we lose sleep, we wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, I wasn't very productive yesterday, and what am I doing with my life? So we stress ourselves into being, ironically, less productive, because stress equals lower performance. Uptightness, physical uptightness, lost sleep and anxiety equals lower productivity, lower performance, because performance is inextricably linked to productivity, as many of you can see. When you take a step back and take a breath, you're like, when I'm stressing about being more productive, ironically, I lose my productivity. I end up doing nothing with the day because I'm overwhelming myself with all the things I think I should be doing. Been there many times myself. Don't know about you. So this then leads into a potential solution, which is that if we stop thinking so much about productivity and focus instead on doing stuff, which is the polar opposite of thinking about doing stuff. It's the polar opposite of thinking about doing things. You're actually immersing yourself in doing things. The problem is, there's only one little caveat to doing things that so many people have problems with. And that's that it doesn't always feel comfortable leaning into uncertainty. But uncertainty is part of the equation in doing stuff. You're always going to have to face a certain degree of uncertainty when stepping out to ice skate on the river or writing an article. You might get ridiculed for your article. You don't know how long it's going to take you. You don't know whether it's worth it. You're going to find a certain level of uncertainty attached to going on a flight to a different country. There's uncertainty wrapped up into anything you do, and that's what tends to scare a lot of us off. And we end up thinking about things like productivity to escape the discomfort that comes with taking action on things. But your solution, and the solution I've always found, is to get into the habit of leaning into stuff, no matter what it is, without judging what it could do for you, right? Leaning into it, because then you're in motion, and then you're getting feedback, direct feedback, not your own kind of assumption-based feedback about what's working for you in life, what's worth doing more of, and what's worth doing less of. And you might say, well, Alex, I don't always get immediate feedback for the stuff that I do. I might go to the gym and I look at myself in the mirror and my muscles aren't growing. Well, that's depends on what you view good results and useful feedback to be. In the case of gyms, if you feel good and you feel cognitively more powerful after you go to the gym, which is often the case, what I mean by that is your brain works better and you're quicker and you're more productive, right? When you've gone for some exercise, you feel better, your mood lifts. Well, that's good enough indication as any that you want to be doing more of that kind of stuff. So as I close this and keep it within 10 minutes, we want to find that faith in our own ability to use our intelligence in the moment for knowing what's worth doing and knowing what we need to continue doing. And that's going to be enough. That's all you need. You don't need to spend hours, days, months in planning, in overthinking, in contemplating, in anticipation of something happening. You just go jump into it. Know that it'll be uncertain and therefore feel a little bit weird. And know that you have your own instinct to fall back on whenever you feel that concern around what's worth doing and, you know, whether you need to be investing your time in this or that. You'll know in the moment because you've taken action. Action is always rewarded by some kind of insight, some kind of direct, immediate feedback. And that's what's really helped me, is knowing that there's always going to be that in real time feedback about what's happening for you in your life. which doesn't require you to jump back into worries, which is the thing that blocks us in the first place. I hope that made sense, guys. If it doesn't, do leave a comment below. Always keen to hear your feedback and thoughts as well. And let me know what else you want to hear me talk about. So I will leave you with the sunset, a January afternoon here, and wish you all the best. Take care.